Hello everybody, how you doing this evening, tonight? Well, I promised you that I would do Satan Makes Me Want to Cry. One I made yesterday, which really isn't going to come out till tonight. And this is Satan Makes Me Cry 2, and it's going to come out tonight at the same time. And I really feel that it's necessary that I make this because yesterday I did it off the cuff and I left a lot. I had no notes or anything like that, so I left some things out, or maybe some things that should have been more explained more clearly. But anyway, the thing Satan makes me want to cry because we are so far behind where we could be spiritually. That's what bothers me. We are behind where we could be spiritually. However, it is our arrogance as Hebrew Israelites that put us in this situation. When Moses led us out of Egypt after building pyramids, as soon as he turned his back, we built a golden calf, which represents what? Materiality. It represents materiality. It represents the fact that it represents greed. And greed for anything is to be controlled by that thing. Is to be a junkie for that. Whether it be money, crack, alcohol, or whatever. Anything that you can't control, anything that you desire that you can't control, as you know, becomes your master. And that was the problem that we had. I believe that also a problem that we had is that we became arrogant in our knowledge, very arrogant in our knowledge, and we put God to the side. And God showed us through what we went through and have been going through. God has shown us that we are nothing without God. We are nothing without God. We are not equal to God. We are nothing without God. And I think that the lesson was to teach us was to put us in our place, because we were acting like spoiled children. Now, the thing that I really want to elaborate on, that I don't think I elaborated enough on yesterday, is we have to understand truth. I tried to show you how right and wrong is different from truth. How what could be right for one person could be wrong for you. What could be wrong for you could be right for that other person. That's right and wrong. But truth is the common denominator. And why truth is so important is that when we understand truth, we are on the same wavelength. Truth is non-divisible. It's singular in nature. And when you know the truth, you're on the same path. Your decisions will be the same based on truth. Your decisions will be the same if your decisions are based on truth. This is why people lie to you and they twist the facts so that your decisions will be based on what they want you to have your decisions based on. Quickly, have you ever gotten into a conversation with a person and you pointed out a position and you knew that you were right, and instead of them acknowledging that you were right, they said, well, but if this, if that. Don't fall for that. Truth has no ifs, ands, and buts in it. And you have to have a desire to recognize truth. And I think I gave an illustration of that yesterday. Because you ever talked to somebody where the truth was obvious, and then they just refuse to believe it. Walk away. Walk away. Just walk away. But we as a people, Hebrew Israelites, truth, we need truth. It puts us on the same wavelength. Without truth, we're sheep. We're liable to follow anyway. But when we acknowledge truth, we all become shepherds. When we acknowledge truth, we all become shepherds, and we're all on the same wavelength. Truth is non-divisible. And the only reason that people do not follow truth is because of false desires. False desires. They could be a money junkie. False desires. They could be a power junkie. False desires. But as Hebrew Israelites, the lessons that we must learn is that we have to follow truth. And I'm gonna tell you something else about truth, which I said in the past, in the other one, is this. You can't find God, because to find God, you would have to know what God looks like. None of us knows what God looks like. But truth is the common denominator. And we know God through our minds. Truth is immortal. Why is truth immortal? Because it doesn't change. Anything that changes is not mortal. Anything that changes is not, anything that changes is not immortal. Anything that does not anything that changes is not immortal. Anything that is immortal does not change. I hope I haven't twisted this up. Anything that does not change is immortal, that means that it is consistent throughout time. Anything like our human bodies, they will dissolve over time. They break down and they dissolve. But the atoms that they are made of, they go into different bodies and make up different things. Atoms are immortal. But our bodies dissolve. But our spirit does not dissolve after death. It does not dissolve. I could go into it goes into a resting place. I'm not going to get into that. But right now, the most important thing is that we understand what truth is. And we understand the value of truth. And we have to understand that truth puts us on the same wavelength. Take the ifs, ands, and buts out, and truth will put us on the same wavelength. And again, you can't find God because you don't know what God looked like. You have to follow truth. Follow truth as closely as you can, and God will find you. Or better yet, God will recognize you. If you follow truth, God will recognize you. And I can say that because that's what I did. My search has always been for truth, and God recognized me. And I'm gonna tell you something else. The thing about, I think I made a mistake yesterday talking, and I said I was talking about spirituality, and I should have said philosophy. Philosophy is immortal. The reason why philosophy is immortal is because philosophy has no end. Philosophy has no end. And if you read and you understand, everything you learn will lead to another question. And it's continually. And you continually learn more and more and more and more. Because philosophy is unlimited. It is unlimited. We learned 1 and 1 equal 2. Then as soon as we learn 1 and 1 equal 2, we asked ourselves, well, what happens if 1 takes away 1? Then we got in the same thing with 2 and 2. And then we said we got 2 and 2, but what about 2 times? 2 times 2 is 4. And it just built up. Division, fraction. Those were, at one time, those were philosophies. They were theories. And every time we proved one, it led to what? It led to another one. We learned geometry. What did geometry do? Geometry allowed us to sit in a lab with a pencil and paper mathematically and figure the distance to the moon. That's the way philosophy is. It just keeps philosophy. Everything you learn will give you. If you learn something, there will be another question, because knowledge is unlimited. To be unlimited is to be immortal. Truth is immortal because it doesn't change. Spiritual philosophy is spiritual ascension, because that's what life is about. It's not about going to heaven. It's spiritual ascension. It's growing spiritually. It's manifesting spiritually. Because one day we should be able to mentally control basically everything that goes on this earth. If we achieve the spiritual knowledge, we can do that, because scientists will tell you that we only use 20% of our brains. What can we do with that other 80%? We only use 20%. So now what happened? Another question. What happens if we what can we do with the other 80%? Knowledge leads to knowledge. Truth leads to more truth. And that's the way life is. I'm really trying to be quick about this. One time I asked my mother, I said, when I began to question religion, I said, well, what happens if we go to, when you go to heaven? She says, well, you walk around and you praise God all day. And I thought about that. Who wants somebody to walk around praising him every day? That sounds like some ridiculous stuff to me. I mean, that's why people get bodyguards. I mean, you want some time to, I can't. And then God is not a person anyway that you can just walk around and follow. It is about, I'm going to take you a step higher. God is infinite living mind. We live in the mind of God. The way you create a dream, which is mortal, it has an ending. But God is immortal. So when will God's dream end? We live in the mind of God. Everything that changes is an illusion. Our bodies change. They dissolve. But our spirits remain immortal. We say that God is omnipresent, omnipowerful, and knows everything. What better way to know everything than to have everything inside of you, and you create by meditation? Then see, this makes sense. This makes sense. But when you tell people that God is riding around on a cloud, or God is a human being, that doesn't make any sense. How can a human being have power over the universe? You see, common sense adds up. When you learn one thing, you learn other things. You can even if you combine knowledge with truth, you can become a prophet, because history repeats itself, and truth builds up upon itself. If you can combine truth with history, then you can build. You can see things before they happen. But you see these things mentally. I'm going to leave you with this quote, which I wanted to give you earlier. Watch your thoughts, they become words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. And I say this to say, make sure your first thought is be truthful. Be truthful. Make your first thought truth. Analyze that thought. Make sure that what's coming out of your mouth is true. Watch your thoughts, they become words. If your thoughts are true, your words are true and they carry weight. Then your actions carry weight. Your character, you become of good character. And your destiny is spiritual ascension. By spiritual ascension, I mean you become wiser. And reincarnation is real. You can't learn everything we need to learn to spiritually ascend in one lifetime. That's impossible. We learn different lessons every lifetime. That's the thing. That's the thing about religion that puts fear in people's heart. Because you're trying to be perfect. You're trying to be perfect, which is to be godlike in one lifetime. That is impossible. There's just too many things that we have to, too many lessons that we have to learn for us to learn it all in one lifetime. If we just learn, just study, we wouldn't enjoy life. And what's the purpose of that? Life is to be enjoyed. It's a labor of love. Truth. Base your life on truth. If someone tells you something that doesn't make sense, question it. Question everything. That's why you have a mind. Your mind is to question everything. And I'm gonna leave you with one other thing that's really kind of getting ahead again. I'm gonna leave that out, but I'm gonna tell you this. If you are well studied in the Bible and you think and you really know the Bible, get this book here. Get this book. It's called The Hidden Bible by William Leary. And what this does is it explains things that you it explains things that you look at. It explains the parables. It explains the parables because Adam and Eve is a parable. They're not real people because God created real people. Genesis 1 verse 26. That's where real people were created. Adam and Eve represents states of mind. Adam represents the masculinity of mankind. Eve represents spirituality. But like I say, and one other thing I'm going to say, I'm trying to get out of this quick. Study different religions. Study different religions. Because when you study one religion and you find truth in it, you will find a correlation to that in other religions that you can build upon, and it gives you a better understanding. I was a Rosicrucian at one time, and they tried to convince me, well, you don't study nobody else, just study us, and because if you study other religions, it'll confuse you. It did not confuse me. It filled in the blanks. Everything connected. Truth connects like a puzzle. I'm a spiritual person. I study different religions, looking in a search for truth. And I found that truth adds up. If you're a Hebrew Israelite, truth. Concentrate on truth, and we can and we'll all be on the same level. Concentrate on truth, question, and be a shepherd instead of a sheep. I'm trying to give you a lot of information in a short period of time, and it can't be done. I don't know if I'm going to do a Satan Makes Me Want to Cry 3 again. Nah, I don't need one. I think everything's here. So if you're confused about anything, I don't know, maybe watch 1 and 2 over. Watch 1 and 2 over again, and hopefully you'll get where I'm coming from. But like me, I read books, and when I read, I always see something in the book that I didn't see the first time. Because as you read, you're digesting information, and you can only digest so much information at a time. You know, some people will read a paragraph and then put the book down and then analyze that and then think about that paragraph before they go to the next one. To me, that's too time consuming. I'll read a page and think about it and then go to the next page. But then I'm always going to read the book over again. And some books I read and take notes. Yeah, whatever you want to do. Hey, have a good one. God bless, and see you in the next video. Hey, leave a like and a subscribe, but really leave a comment. I'll try to get back to them. I can't promise that, but I will try to get back into them. And with that, take care.